Good morning. Now, I always want to say good morning, though I realize that you may not be watching this in the morning, but the sun has just broken. Uh, the first thing I did in the morning was to wake up with a bang by reaching over, bumping my spare computer sitting right there. This is a, come on, you stupids. This is a Chromebook, which is, I'm not real fond of those. I like the Chrome browser. I'm not fond of Chromebooks. But anyways, I elbowed it off the edge of the bed and it crashed onto the floor in this little tiny space between the bed and the wall. Because the way the room is, I can't situate it any other way. So that's like the Bermuda Triangle. If anything falls behind that bed, it's like real work to, because there's only like that much space between the wall and the bed, and the bed's really high up. So there's probably stuff that I need that's actually behind there that I was like the hell with it. I'm just gonna buy a new one. Anyway, that's how I started off my day, was just knocking that computer off with a big crash. It caught the cord on the microphone and jerked the whole boom sideways. Uh, and that's why I'm still breathing a little bit ragged, is because I was fighting, reaching behind there, trying to get the book out, because the cord to the microphone was caught. So the Chromebook, I mean, when I say book, if you look back there, you can see like a silver pin. That's how it's like a vice, you know. And I just got done tightening it up last night because it gradually works loose for some reason. So that was a good thing. Or else I might have woken up by hitting myself in the head with this 3 pound microphone, which would have been an even more fun way to wake up. But anyways, I'm not trying to do like the daily vlog thing or whatever. Somebody said I should do a daily vlog. Some nice person said I should do a daily vlog and enjoy um, one of my whatever this is that I do. And I don't think my life is that interesting, or I'm that interesting that I could pull that off. But anyways, I have like $70 left in the bank because I was very irresponsible and just blew all my money through January and February. But I made sure that I had a little bit of money in the bank so I didn't have to worry about overdraft like I had to worry about earlier in the month. And so that boat sale was kind of important. But here's the thing, the boat sale fell through. And I'll explain that in a minute, but I have to mention something else. Now, I'm going to try to do this in the most seemly, polite way possible. But um, when you're a guy and you're alone and you live alone, you have to do some regular routine maintenance on your wedding tackle. I had epididymitis, which is an infection in that area. So I hadn't been able to do that for like the whole month of March. So it's the last day of March. And I was like, hey, the stuff is finally working. I was like, thank God. I don't want to lose that. It puts you in a good mood. So I'm in the actual process of doing that and having a good time with it. And the phone lights up, and it's the boat guy, the guy, my non friend who's selling the boat. And it's like, fuck, you know. So I like ignore him and awkwardly finish. And then I'm like, I wait a while, of course, being a decent human being after having taken care of the maintenance walkthrough that all guys have to do for their basic hygienic and mental health. You don't walk around with a loaded gun. It makes you make stupid decisions, as they say on TV. And so I wait an appropriate time, and I call this guy back, and he's like, "Yeah, man, the guy was here about the boat, and he backed out of the deal because I was looking forward to that $900 infusion of cash because I got nothing, man. I got 70. I got $70 in the bank until I get my Social Security for children of disabled veterans check that comes in, which is $1,228, and I already got the rent paid because of that $700 check that I couldn't get cash, so I just gave it to the landlord, and I said this will pay for this month's rent and most of the next month's rent. So, but anyways, the guy's like, couldn't sell the boat. Here's why he couldn't sell the boat. Now I don't know how much uh, you know about boats. I don't know a whole lot about boats, but a boat has a drain plug. If you store one outside, you have to pull the drain plug because rain collects inside the boat if you don't. And so he didn't do that when he stored it outside without asking me. He didn't ask me. He just put it in and said, just called me up and said, "Yeah, I moved your boat and I put it in the neighbor's yard. He's cool with it being stored back there. It's like back behind my garage, but it's in the neighbor's yard." And I'm like, "All right." I just didn't even want to go there. I just didn't want to open up that, get angry about it. And so it was stored improperly. It's been outside in the weather with a drain plug in there, basically like a bucket of water. I bet you mosquitoes have bred inside that boat because it had a tarp over it, but the tarp didn't cover it completely in a proper way. If you see boats outside, they'll have like bungee cords like tight down and stuff, like to make sure no water gets in. He didn't do that. So mosquito larvae have probably bred inside my boat because any place where water collects. I got that image in my head now. But anyways, he didn't look at the boat before he had the guy come out, and that was gonna make me a little bit richer. And so he takes the tarp off, and there's like a foot of water because it rained all day on Saturday, and this was a Sunday. There's like a foot of water in the bottom of the boat, and the guy looks at it and looks, and he's probably putting two and two together, like this boat wasn't taken care of properly. He never saw the boat before. He just was going to buy it on description, and because $1,000 for a boat with a trailer and a motor and a trolling motor, and it has oars, a net in it. It's good to go. It's a good deal. And but he looked at it, and it was all about presentation. I mean, he's looking at it, and he's seeing a foot of water in the bottom of the boat, and knows that it's been stored improperly. And he says, "Look, man, I don't, hope I'm not going to piss you off, but I'm not buying this boat." And so the boat on the inside, the way I remember it, even though I haven't seen the boat for years, is it had like wood paneling. It was very nice inside. It had like wood paneling and carpet, like a combination of the two. So, he's telling me this stuff on the phone, and he's at least being honest that he didn't pull the plug on it, and that it's been full of water. And he interrupted me jacking off and everything to tell me this news. And I'm like, okay. I was in a good mood because I was like worried that I got bad stuff going on down there. So you want honesty? This is honesty. Um, TMI type to honesty, perhaps for some people, but I don't put no ice in the bourbon, dude. You gotta take it straight. And so I'm in a good mood. So I'm just like, you know what? Uh, I'm not really. I like books, but I'm not really a big Bible thumper type of dude. But Romans 12:20. If someone does you wrong, I'll do them good, because it will be like heaping hot coals upon their head. And that's like a metaphor for shame. So I got a weird form of Schadenfreude, which is feeling bad or feeling good about somebody else's misery, because it's really my misery too. Because he ruined the interior of my boat, but I think he actually felt bad about it. I didn't hear the word "I'm sorry." I think he actually felt bad about it. He was probably dreading making that phone call more than I was dreading receiving that phone call, because he was like, oh man, he's gonna go off on me. He's gonna be mad because everybody knows I got like that temper that's slow boiled but real bad when it goes off. And so I did the opposite. I was like, you know, cool about it, just relaxed and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I hope that digs the hooks in deeper. You know, I hope that makes him feel worse that he did that to a nice guy. But he's probably more like just relieved that I'm not mad at him. He's always worried about me being mad at him, as he puts it. And, it's probably more like that because I don't know how much conscience he really has. That he would, I won't, it's not going to be like, I feel bad about the damage I did to your property. Here's like uh, a couple $100, just to make up. Nothing like that's going to happen, man. I know that already. But yeah, so I feel that Schadenfreude, that German word for enjoying someone else's misery. And I was relieved I didn't have to give him any money at all. I don't know if that's fucked up or not, but I actually feel better that he ruined the interior of my boat, and maybe feels bad about it than to me get $900 that I really need, but have to give him any money at all. Because I had to give him a 10% commission out of the $1,000 for selling the boat. Which why he didn't look at the boat before he actually had the guy come out there is probably because he's high off his ass. Because I mean, I watched the previous video that I did a couple of days ago, and I'm like, man, you weren't being very clear on there. But that's like the main reason I think that he didn't. There's like two reasons that he didn't really. Um, we didn't use the boat, and it's like his pot smoking, and his fear of like, what if something happens, you know, but like, you know what I mean? Like, what if something happens? Like, what if the car breaks down? What if it's going to cost me money? Or like, what if we get stuck? Or what if, what, fear. I think it was fear and weed that kept us off that boat. But yeah, that is a whole. That's how weird my psychology is. How weird my mind is. It's like I'm a little bit glad that he ruined the interior of my boat, because we're talking about Ohio weather, and if that drain plug is not pulled and water collects in the boat, there's probably been times over the last 3 to 4 years, or however long it's been sitting in, at least 3 years, probably 4 years, it's been sitting in that yard. There's been times probably where the water didn't get a chance to evaporate, and it's a boat. It's airtight. It's like setting a bucket out. So I imagine it happened where it actually had ice frozen in the bottom of it solid, and then you know I'm sure it's a fucking mess. I haven't seen it yet, of course, but I actually feel um, better about him wrecking my boat and maybe lowering the value of it, just so I don't have to give him that $100 for fucking me over through the years, even though he's fucking me over now. So you can sort that out. That's twisted, and that's a whole twisted thing. But I was like, yeah, that's better that way. Plus, I uh, had arrangements with my cop friend who just married off his last child, his daughter, on Saturday the 30th, for this week. So I get to hang out with him a little bit. He's going to haul the boat, what's left of it, and put it beside my window out here, and then I can look at it, and you know. But yeah, I really can't tell you his attitude on the phone. I didn't hear it. I don't think I heard it. I'm sorry. You know, he just told me what he did and how he didn't research. He didn't pull the drain plug. He didn't research properly storing a boat outside. He just assumed some things, like and so that happened. Now today it is 7:30. Today I have to be ready by 12:15 to go to my doctor's appointment. But yeah, I've been having more anxiety, I've noticed lately, and um, I did up my dose a little bit yesterday. I'm supposed to be taking 30 milligrams of Valium a day. I took two 10 milligram tablets, and I don't really know if I felt all that different. I still had anxiety. I still had trouble going to sleep. I mean, I know I'm repetitious, but it's not. You can't exchange one benzo for another. They're not like interchangeable. It's not like the same thing. Which this is not my opinion. This is from people who know pharmacology, that are professional people. Told me that people make that mistake. They think they're interchangeable because they basically it's like alcohol works with us with your GABA in a similar way. It affects your GABA receptors in a similar way. But nobody says alcohol is the same thing as Valium, you know. So again, being repetitious, those are the only two withdrawals that kill otherwise healthy people are alcohol and benzos. Like those are the only two withdrawals you can die from if you're an otherwise healthy person. You don't have any other health issues. Um, so that shows you that they're related. But nobody says that alcohol is interchangeable with Valium. But they will say that Xanax is interchangeable with Valium. Somebody actually said that to me. That was like a street dealer. That's like, oh, it's the same thing, you know. And dealer, buyer, but they weren't trying to sell me the drug. They were working as an agent for me. They were like, oh, it's the same thing. Like, trust me, it's not the same thing. It's not. But yeah, I just wanted to get on here briefly and update you on that boat thing. And the circumstances of it is very funny, because not only did like he ruin my boat, but he ruined the first let's say nether regions entertainment that I've had since I got sick on the 3rd of March. So that's almost the whole month of March, because I had that problem. So that's funny. I mean, it's typical for me though. It's just typical. I mean, it just is. So yeah, I have to laugh at it. It's not funny when you're going through it, but um, after you process it, you have to laugh at it. You have to learn to laugh at your own misery. Um, you just do. The quality of my voice is horrible this morning. I realized that, and I measured off the microphone to where just as an experiment. This is where I basically put it when I try to do my audio book that I've been working on. Except for I'm more sitting more upright. But this is the distance I measured off with my hand span, which is about 9 inches. And I looked at somebody's video and they said you should put it somewhere between 8 inches and a foot away from your face. You don't want to get right up on it when you talk into it. But yeah, I'm starting to lose my voice. I didn't sleep good. I took I talked a lot yesterday to different people, 3 different people, and I didn't sleep good. And I took gabapentin And I'm sure I'm going to get the disapproval of many, uh, not many, but the disapproval of a few people by saying this, but I'm going to go because of my knee thing. I'm going to ask my doctor today. He prescribed me Neurontin before, and gabapentin is the generic one. And I'm going to ask him to prescribe me some of that because I have this many left, which is about 32 pills. But you have to understand the date that this was filled was 12/26. This was filled on Christmas, more or less. And it was supposed to be used up by January 25th. So, um, it's not exactly like I've been gulping them down for entertainment. There's 32 in there out of a bottle of 120. So, yeah, I'm going to ask him for those because the pain in the knee gets pretty intense, and I still want to, I still want to work on my cardio. I walked on the treadmill actually yesterday with my knee, and I, after walk, I didn't have to even walk for my cardio that long on the treadmill because I had to walk all over the house doing this and doing that, and dragging a 30-pound bag of cat food over to where I could feed the cats out the window, and then noticing the one cat was ready to fight the other cat, so I had to make two dishes, and I had to make a new dish and string it up and put it on string so they wouldn't kill each other over the food. Because even though the one cat that I had disappeared with the cauliflower ear and the quirky personality, this other cat took his place, and for some reason I've never touched the cat or been anywhere near the cat, but for some reason I like him. So, I'm still feeding two cats, which complicates matters because the strings get all tangled up. And then, I'm going to have to do this here in about, I don't know, about a half an hour. I'm going to have to like pull them up. Instead of untangling them, I have to cut the line and like retie them up. It just doesn't work because the lines are going, there's like 15 feet of line out. And it's like heavy kite string, and the wind just blows it. Either the wind blows it or the animals move it around or whatever, but they always get all tangled up with each other, and it makes a big mess. And it kind of defeats the purpose if they're all tangled up together to load up both trays of food and put them down and have two cats like right next to each other, swatting each other in the face and scratching each other. Kind of defeats the purpose of the two dish method. But yeah, I should get off here and get some breakfast and move around. That shit is funny, man. The way that worked out, and man, just when you couldn't think somebody could screw you over worse, they managed to do that. And you know, I know he was sweating that phone call at least, and I hope he feels bad. And me hoping that he feels bad about it is that German word Schadenfreude, which I guess is a pretty common word nowadays. When I learned it, it wasn't, but I was writing that in, I was texting somebody that word, and of course, I have no idea how to spell it, but it was in spelling autocorrect. So I was like, wow, that must be a popular word nowadays. That's interesting. People know that word. They don't. I should try Gestalten. I should try some other weird German words that I know from reading from my psychology studies. Even though I have the Jethro Bodine education, I studied a lot of psychology and read a lot of philosophy and stuff like that on my own free time. The things that I was interested in at the time. Um, but yeah, it's like people that a lot of people hate the Bible and want to throw it out. It's like, man, just think of it as a piece of literature. And the Bible has many cool things about it. Even if you're an atheist and you think of it as a piece of literature, but atheists don't. They hate it. You know, they hate it so much, and I know this from years of interacting with atheists on when I was a debater. and would debate on the internet. Um, the mention of the word Bible instantly, it's like mentioning child molestation. You know, it instant turn off. Instant hatred comes up. You know, but it's like think about that. That dude was expecting me to ream him out and be like, "How could you do that?" Or like call him stupid, or like just be nasty to him. Instead, I'm like really nice to him. So Romans 12:20 is like if it's like basically to paraphrase it is like be kind to your enemies, for in doing so you will be heaping hot coals upon his head, meaning they will be blushing with shame. You know, um, because it's the Bible's like poetic in spots. That's like a metaphor for shame. Because obviously, if you're being kind to the guy, you're not heaping hot coals on his head. And you're more fundamentalist Christian will be saying like, well, you're helping them on their path to hell, or something like that. But clearly, that's not what that's about. It's like if somebody treats you like shit, and then you're nice to them on top of it, and if they have any conscience left, they're like, how could I treat somebody that's that nice like shit? And then they feel shame, which I hope is what that motherfucker is feeling. I hope that's what he's feeling right now. He's shame and having done that. And, you know, he didn't even look at it. He didn't even like prep it for the guy and look at it. He's actually selling something. That's why I said he said in the other video he's a selfish motherfucker. Because if he was really looking out for my interests, he would like look at the boat first and like make it as presentable as possible before trying to get $1,000 off of this guy, um, and selling it for me. But he didn't do that. Yeah. Oh yeah. Another thing I should tell you about is I told you the story about how the guy was in a really really bad place and situation where I'll give you this much detail of it. He was taking care of somebody and couldn't leave the house because they were incapacitated, and he was taking care of them. And like he was telling me I got nothing to look forward to. Every day is miserable. And I was like, well, I can give him something to look forward to. Like he can look forward to fishing trips on that boat if I can get that boat on the water. So that's why I got the boat on the water. But I talked to the guy and I said that he had 2 trips in the boat. The guy said he had 1 trip in the boat. He only got a token trip in the boat, you know. And I made that promise with that guy, like, look, we're gonna take care of this guy. He's like our brother, and I'm gonna put this boat on the water, and then we're all gonna go out fishing together, and it'll give him something to look forward to. Well, no, I, I said I don't want to put out the money. I'm gonna put out the money. It's gonna break me. I got almost nothing at that time. I was very poor, and but you gotta promise me that we're gonna, I made him make a serious promise about it. He took him out on the boat once. That's what the guy told me yesterday. Not even twice, like I said in the other video. This is a correction. Once, you know. So maybe he don't have any conscience. Maybe he don't have any conscience left, or maybe he's tamping down. You can smoke so much dope, even if it's just weed, that it tamps down your conscience. When I was doing that, when uh, I was caught in a bad situation, and my mother was dying, and I wasn't able to see her. It's a whole complicated thing. I was tamping down my emotions by smoking a bunch of weed, and then after waking up in the ambulance twice, high off, not waking up, but realizing that I was in an ambulance twice, high off my ass. One time with a 203 heart rate, 203 beats a minute, and yeah, that was, I told that story before, but the word woke got in there because it took twice for me to wake up and realize that like weed is not my thing, because I was talking also in the video about there's things that I could tell about myself that doesn't make me look too good. And one of the things I did tell about myself is that at that time I liked mixing marijuana, masturbation, and pornography, uh, and smoking cigars, sometimes all at the same time. Marijuana, masturbation, pornography. Yeah, call it the three M's. The three M's. Anyways, yeah, that's some of the bad behavior that I fell into when I was running from my problems, and then I started taking uh, Xanax by accident just because I was just so fucking high all the time, running from my problems, that I wasn't being careful, and I was like, well, this is just another downer that I'm taking. And here I'm taking one of the um, most potentially addictive uh, drugs that is easy to get physically dependent on, in the quickest one of the quickest drugs that you can get physically dependent on. For some people, it's as little as 2 weeks of steady dosing, and then they quit and they'll feel symptoms. Um, I've heard 2 to 4 weeks you can develop a chemical dependency with it. I've heard as much as 6 weeks from other people, but that's not a very long time. So, yeah. So, anyway, you got your story there about the boat and the funny circumstances of how I found out that the guy ruined my boat. And then you got the correction about he took the solemn promise guy out on the boat one time. It's like, I don't know, if he realizes all this, I don't know if I should like just like, this is what you did, and just break it down for him. You know, I don't know how much shame he actually feels, or how much shame he is capable of feeling for behaving in this manner. So I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I want to put myself through that and dig up the hurt emotions. Or maybe I could just write him a letter and say, this is what you did, you know, in case you don't know it or you don't realize it. Like, and now, ironically, he's in a situation where he could use a friend to help him out. And heaping more of those hot ashes on top of him. I've actually been a good friend to him. Actually, when I believe I said this on here, this is northern Ohio, and their furnace went out and wasn't working properly. And it starts to get cold around here in November. You can actually have like a half a foot of snow in November around here. So like, I don't know, sometime around the earlier part of December, he calls me up and he's like, man, I don't like to ask, but I need to borrow some money because the furnace is broke, and the furnace guy is here. And I had talked to other people that lived in the house, and they're like, yeah, we just wear coats all the time. And I'm like, is the furnace guy is here like right now? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, well, how much do you need? He's like, $200. I'm like, well, get over here and bring a cigarette. Because I said, the rules. Whenever anybody borrows money off of me, they better have a goddamn cigarette. So, anyways, I forgave that debt because I'm like, I'm starting out a new policy with this whole household. You got a $20 limit. That's it. I only loan anybody in here $20. Period. I don't care what your circumstances is or what your story is. But I had one person in the house owing me 20, one person in the house owing me 60, and the whole house really, but really the one guy, the boat guy, owing me 200. So I just wrote it off and said, that debt's forgiven, just forget about it. But I got this new policy from now on. So I've been a good friend to him through this crisis situation that he was in. Meanwhile, this is like whenever the Miami Heat won the championship the first time with LeBron James is how I remember the when I was getting the boat on the water. He wasn't a good friend to me back then. So I'm hoping that's more. I'm hoping it turns him into a better person. I hope that's more like a hot coals heaped upon him. I hope, yeah, I hope he feels bad. Yeah, that's called Schadenfreude. I hope he's foolish. I hope he is up to his eyeballs in misery over this, like in shame. But I really don't know that because I don't know how much of a conscience he has, really. The one thing I know about the guy is he won't steal off of me. I know that for sure. I've known this guy my whole life. I know he won't steal off of me under any circumstances. I know he will lie to me. He's done it many times. I already know that. I know he will break promises. I know he will be careless with my property. And yeah, but that's my update. And of course, it's longer than it needed to be. But I wish I could make like less of a train wreck video, but um, and be more succinct. But eventually, I will, because eventually I will be in a better situation, in a better place mentally. Volume is not Xanax, and I'm taking less volume than I'm prescribed, and I'm actually not following any set like drop down pattern. I'm like, if I feel like I need it, I take it. I had a zero. I had a day where I took none. Um, on the 10th of March, where I took no benzo at all because I didn't need it. I was fine. So that's just the way I've been doing it. And like as soon as I got the regular supply of volume, I dropped off the Xanax in less than a month. That you know, December 7th, I got a steady supply of volume. January 4th was the last time I took Xanax. And God, or if you're an atheist, universe, circumstances, willing, I will never touch Xanax again. Um, but never is a frightening word because it's almost like you're tempting things to happen when you say that. Well, this will never happen. I'd never do this. You know, I'm old enough to know that never is a very scary word. And yeah, I want to keep talking for some reason. I like to talk in the morning. That's probably one thing I miss about being a loner and my life falling out the way it has to where I don't have a significant other to wake up with. Um, so yeah, I could keep talking, but I'm not going to. I noticed one thing about time is it jumps away from you when you have an appointment waiting for you. So it's already about 8 o'clock, and I should already have eaten breakfast and be moving around and whatnot. So yeah, I'll see you the next time. The next time some horrible, ridiculous, stupid, and oddly funny thing happens to me, I will be sure to report it and share that with you. Because what else am I for? I'm certainly not. I laugh about it because it's funny stuff, and I'm alienated enough to where I can be outside of myself and look at the outside, look at it from the outside, like from your point of view, and be like, "That's some funny shit right there." You know, the guy is like got damaged junk for a month. He's finally getting his stuff to work and finally taking care of the necessary. And the guy is actually interrupting him, calling him to tell him that he ruined his boat and he's not going to get his needed $900 uh, for the boat. So, I can look at it from the outside and see the humor of it. So, you know, um, whatever. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.